All right, let's get right into it. There's a term you're probably hearing everywhere right now: Agentic AI. Sounds kind of futuristic, maybe even a little complicated. But today, we're going to break it all down. And you'll see it's not really about replacing people. It's about fixing one of the most maddening problems in business. So think about any big process at your job: onboarding a client, getting a report approved, whatever. When things slow down, what's the gut reaction? Oh, people just need to work harder, move faster. But what if that's not the problem at all? Most of the time, the real gridlock has nothing to do with how hard people are working on their individual tasks. It's all about what happens in between those tasks. And this is the heart of it. The problem is choreography. It's the handoffs, the waiting for someone to check a box, the, hey, did you see my email follow-ups? It's this whole complicated dance of people and systems that has to happen in a perfect sequence. And that choreography, that's where productivity goes to die. To make this super clear, let's talk about a real-world example. Meet Marcus. He's a senior risk analyst at a major financial institution, and his job is critical. He's the guy who makes sure that before his company takes on a new corporate client, every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and every risk is accounted for. So get this. Every single client file he works on is this epic journey. It has to bounce between 6 different databases, get sign-off from 3 different teams, and screen for everything from international sanctions to negative news. The results of all this back and forth, it can take up to 12 working days just to get one client approved. And here's the real kicker. The actual work doesn't take 12 days, not even close. The problem is that it's all one long sequential chain. Step 2 is sitting there waiting because step 1 is stuck in somebody's inbox. Marcus and his highly paid, expert team spend most of their time just pushing paper, nudging the process along. They're basically professional coordinators. That's the choreography bottleneck in action. So this is exactly the kind of mess Agentic AI is designed to clean up. But let's get a really simple definition on the table because you hear the term agent thrown around a lot. Okay, here's what makes it so different. You don't just give an AI agent a single, simple prompt. You give it a high-level goal, like vet this new client. And from there, the agent figures out the plan all on its own. It knows it needs to check the sanctions list, then scan the news, then analyze the legal filings. And it does all of that across different tools without waiting for a human to click next. It runs the entire choreography by itself. You can really think of this as the next step in an evolution. We all started with AI tasks. You ask a question, you get an answer. Then we got to AI workflows, where AI could handle, one piece of a bigger puzzle. But agentic AI, that's a whole other level. It's not just playing one instrument in the orchestra. It's the conductor. It's coordinating the whole performance. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds a little like just letting a robot run wild with your company's data, right? But a properly designed agentic system is actually incredibly structured, safe, and controlled. And it all comes down to a really smart 3-layer framework. It's really simple. The whole system is built on these 3 layers. You've got execution, which is where the AI does all the heavy lifting. Then you have escalation, which is the, uh-oh, I need a human moment. And finally, you have the audit layer, which keeps a perfect record of everything. The execution layer is where all that efficiency comes from. For Marcus's team, this is the grunt work, right? It's pulling the data, checking the lists, formatting the reports, all the repeatable rules-based stuff that was eating up about 70% of their 12-day cycle. An AI agent can do all of that in a matter of minutes. This is probably the most important layer of all because it keeps humans firmly in the driver's seat. See, the agent isn't designed to make the final call. When it finds something tricky, a name that's a partial match on a sanctions list, a weird news article, it stops. It packages everything up, provides all the context, and hands it off to a human expert like Marcus. The agent handles the what, so the expert can focus on the so what. And finally, there's the audit layer. This is completely non-negotiable, especially if you're in an industry with any kind of regulation. Every single thing the agent does, every database it checks, every piece of data it pulls is logged with a timestamp. Because if a regulator ever asks why a decision was made, the AI did it is not an answer. You need proof. You need a trail. An agent without an audit trail isn't a tool. It's a liability. So what actually happened when Marcus and his team put this 3-layer system into practice? Well, the results were pretty mind-blowing. When you see it side by side, it's just crystal clear. That 12-day process, it went down to 2. The team's time completely flipped from 70% just coordinating stuff to spending almost all their brainpower on the tough judgment calls, the stuff that actually requires their expertise. And pulling an audit file, that went from a full-day headache to an automated report that takes 20 minutes. 2 days. Just let that sink in for a second. They didn't achieve this by making people work longer hours or cut corners. They did it by just eliminating the waiting, by getting rid of the choreography that was gumming up the works. That's the impact. But here's the twist, the part that Marcus and his team totally didn't see coming. In order to teach the AI what to look for and when to escalate a problem, they had to sit down and, for the first time ever, explicitly write down their own rules. They had to define things like, what exactly makes a news article a high-risk red flag? And in doing that, they accidentally created the most robust, well-documented risk framework their company had ever had. So, what's the big idea here? What's the takeaway from Marcus's story? It all starts with changing how we think about what our experts are for and what technology is for. It's really this simple. This was never about replacing Marcus. It was about unleashing Marcus. It's about letting the AI handle the administrative nightmare, the choreography, so that the smart, expensive, highly trained humans can spend their day making the tough calls that only they can make. The agent gave Marcus his real job back. This just flips the whole problem on its head, doesn't it? For so long, companies have looked at their best people and seen them as a bottleneck in a slow process. But this shows you the expert was never the problem. The expert is the entire point of the process. The goal should be to get the hardest problems to them as fast as possible. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Look at your own work, your own team, and forget about AI for a second. Just ask yourself, where are we always waiting? Where are the endless manual handoffs? Where is the real problem, not a lack of effort, but just bad choreography? Because once you find that spot, you've found your perfect starting point.